Hey, sorry for the delay, here's a video. Enjoy. No time to explain. Quick story. Here we go. I once wrote a short story which involved a romance between a human and a dragon shapeshifter. Sorry, it's not an actual, full-on dragon. It's just a shapeshifter, someone who can shapeshift between human and dragon. It's like a werewolf thing, kind of a thing, you know? You see, I did a short little run on roleplay videos, like making fun of bad roleplays and prompts for roleplays, but only because I want to aspire for more. I want to live out this fantasy of, being a writer for some reason. You know, I already have the musicianship, the video camera, filmmaker kind of a thing. Why not just go and write a book? Who knows? But I wasn't going to write a full book anytime soon. I was going to start small with some short stories. Not going to get too ahead of myself. So I quickly type up this human X dragon shapeshifter kind of a romance thing. You know, I figure romance is just a safe thing to just slide on into. Weird thing is, it got rejected. What the hell? Why would you reject my original idea? My very well-crafted, I crafted out in a week, but it took a while through that week. You want to know the reason why it got rejected? It was, this. They said it was this, and I did not understand why. It might have been a couple of scenes where the human and the shifter in the dragon form got a little bit more, intimate. Now, and I understand that's not everyone's cup of tea, but I still find it a little bit offensive that this was thrown right in my face, especially since this was a dragon, not like a real-life animal, a dragon. That could talk, that could reason. I figured it was a safe bet and have my own little flair to it, but nope, they just rejected. I would argue that instead of this ugly word, or maybe even this word, I would classify it as interspecies. Interspecies is actually really common in media, believe it or not. What I'm going to do in this video right now is to not so much justify why I wrote a crappy romance novel. We're going to explore what interspecies actually means, and let's go ahead and tackle on why furries might get a little bit shafted, pun intended, on this tiny little aspect. So here's another thoughtful little discussion here on How Furry Is It? First of all, let's talk about what not interspecies is. The complete opposite, which is intraspecies. If you look up the scientific dictionary definition of intraspecies, you're just gonna find a scientific definition, of course, but it basically means some sort of relationship, whether intimate, platonic, or otherwise, between two of the same species. Human on human, fox on fox, cat on cat. The way God intended, as some might say. I don't care. Interspecies, however, is when two different people, animals, creatures, critters, whatever, of two different species decide, who cares what they think? Our love is too proud, too brave, too strong to be weighed down by the social pressures. And yes, I know the whole interspecies thing is a common thing within furry media. You have the little animation of the cat and the rabbit, and how society says you should either be with interspecies rather than interspecies. You of course have Zootopia. You of course have some of that in Beastars. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's go ahead and get into some different categories and variations, actually. Some variations of this aspect of interspecies. Because you may not realize it, but you watch interspecies content all the time. But here's a little graph I made of how people feel about it versus the actual category or media trope of interspecies romance here. The higher it is on this graph, the more likely people will be into it and be okay with it. The lower it is, the more it's hey, this is illegal. You shouldn't do this. Kindly get this off of my Netflix right now. So first we have human and humanoid. The most normal, the most common. Humanoid really just means something that looks human, but isn't. You have paranormal stuff like vampires and ghosts, gods and deities. You have more sci-fi stuff like robots and androids. Basically something that appears in human form, but are technically a different species. In a weird case, the Aquaman and Wonder Woman DC films, those count as interspecies because Aquaman is an Atlantean, and then Wonder Woman is like an Amazonian. For some reason, based on the canon, those are different from regular humans. I'm sure you can make an argument for Superman as well. Since he is technically an extraterrestrial, people are always talking about Lois Lane and Clark Kent and all that. So people are basically okay with this form of interspecies. But what I want to focus on is the most controversial of the normiest of normies, the Twilight series. Because yes, Edward Cullen, he is a vampire. That is a humanoid, but not a human. He used to be human, but vampires just become vampires instead of humans. So I guess that counts. And the reason I want to focus on it isn't just because I want to spark some anger from people who are still mad about it, like it's still 2008. You need to grow up, by the way. If I can grow out of my blind anger of this series, then you can too. Not saying that I enjoy it. I'm just not completely frothing in rage at this, because there's worse media out there, obviously. The real reason to focus on this is to highlight that it actually goes into the dangers of why dating a vampire or having a baby with a vampire is a bad idea, according to a Mormon woman. That's the whole little string tying everything together in this series. That's the whole point of Twilight. It's vampire dating bad, but sexy, but dangerous. And you're gonna enjoy it. It might be interesting if the world you set up is okay with humans and humanoids being together, but wouldn't it be more dramatic and more cool if that wasn't the case? If it was drama? Drama just drives the whole world of fiction, doesn't it? Because that's almost the point. You gotta have some conflict to make things more interesting. The next category I want to focus on is human and semi-humanoid. These still aren't humans, but they are slightly different from the humanoids. They're more like humanoid with a few extra features, with a little extra bells and whistles, with a little extra tentacles, antennae, extra arms, extra tails, different skin. This includes stuff like your cat girls and your kimono Mimi. People are into that. Neko Para is popular for some reason. I mean, it's just cute cat girls that call you master. Any sort of Star Wars stuff goes into here as well. Star Wars is full of humanoids because it's easier to film humanoids and get people to dress up in humanoid costumes, even if they are still aliens from another place. The Twi'leks in particular are the, sexiest of the Star Wars canon. They have quite a bit of Rule 34. Going back to anime, something I just discovered is the Monster Girl Encyclopedia, which details so many human and monster/animal/cryptoid combinations. Extensive, to say the least. You can check it out yourself. Just look it up online. You'll find it. The Wikia is available for free as well. You don't have to buy the physical book I think it originated as. Our focus for this category is something more well-known and something more cherished by the general public, Shrek. Shrek has quite a few different variations of interspecies romance, most notably the donkey and the dragon, who end up having kids. How? It still amazes me that just slid on by. I can't get away with dragon shapeshifters and humans, but a donkey can impregnate a dragon, an actual dragon. You gotta be f***ing kidding me. But no, the most developed of romances of the interspecies kind in this film franchise, because Shrek and Fiona falling in love, even though Shrek tried his best to not involve himself in anything whatsoever, just because of how discriminated him and the other fairyland fairy tale creatures are in the world. Its character development, it drives the conflict, it's wonderfully done. In maybe the first two films, the third and fourth one, wasn't a big fan. Although it's been a while since I've watched them. I might watch them again. I don't know. Not really on my bucket list. Now let's get on to something actually controversial. Human and anthropomorphic. This is where it might turn some people off, but to be honest, anthropomorphic, sexualization has been going on for much longer than you expect. I mean, it's surprising, right? You know? It's only been weird nowadays, just because some community of people were like, hey, I'm into that. And people were just like, oh, wait, you're not joking. Oh, this isn't just metaphor. You're actually into this. Bye. I'm out. Goodbye. Bye. But like just recently, I found this compilation of Tex Avery cartoons where the whoever was animating it, probably Tex Avery, was just horny. He was just horny. This is one of those cases of the animator's barely disguised fetish. He was basically a furry. You know, if Tex Avery can just flash out his fetishes for furry girls right onto theaters and like it did not bat one eye back then like it's totally okay for you to do it too. Like, why are you so scared? And like nothing is off the table for what I can see. Even though people are kind of icky about it nowadays, it's always been in media, you know. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. People joked about, probably fantasized about April O'Neil with one of the turtles. But like in TMNT 2012, it was kind of a little bit more realized. People were like, you know what? Let's make this a thing. Let's do it for the kids. Various Looney Tunes stuff, you know, you have Bugs Bunny cross-dressing. And like, yes, I get it. It's a little bit problematic nowadays to bring that up because implications of like, isn't it funny that it's a guy dressed as a girl and wooing other guys? Like, I realize that's a little problematic nowadays because it was treated as a joke back then. Because who would actually do that, you know? Well, it just so happens to have a stay nowadays, weirdly enough, with conservatives and Republicans for some reason. And again, this isn't just adult media doing this. This is like the Bee Movie. You know, Barry Bee and the Woman. They have a connection. You have Octodad, fabulous game on the PlayStation. Seth MacFarlane made it apparent in one episode in particular. I remember watching this episode, actually. It was the episode where Peter Griffin, I think he dies on like a deserted island, or at least people think he's dead, and Lois is like devastated, and like Brian is there to support her. They eventually fall in love and almost push the beds together. But then Peter comes back and Lois is like, oh man, really glad I didn't do that. That would be weird, right? Yeah, that would be weird. Me and you, a dog, and me, human. That'd be totally weird. Meanwhile, Brian is like, yeah. I do not want to focus on Family Guy, though. That show. However, let's bring up BoJack Horseman. Diane and Mr. Peanut Butter, of course, getting together, knowing each other, loving each other. He buys an entire bookcase, entire shelf library for her, and she gets frustrated at that, because that's a stupid goddamn idea. But he did it out of love. Man, I ship it hard.
Everyone, quick insert here. Going through the clips of Diane and Mr. Peanut Butter, kind of seems like they don't end up in a very happy relationship, and yeah, I don't think I ship it anymore.
Even though this is a case where humans and anthropomorphic characters, which are basically just humans with animal heads and personalities and features, they're furries. They're basically furries. So humans and furries in this world, totally okay to like for them to be together. Just as common as it is for human and human, anthro and anthro. It's just, you know, that's the interesting part of it. But the fact that this is just a well-written series, especially the chemistry between characters, highly recommend you watch it. I, unfortunately, haven't had time to watch past season 4, but I will get there eventually. I know it's good. I just need to find some time. Now, before we move on to the most controversial part, let's go over some little weird details about this thing. Because, here's the thing. Furries and other furries, that can be interspecies as well. So let's talk about that for a little bit. We have anthropomorphic and anthropomorphic coming together as a romance. Anthro and anthro. It's basically normalized, even though they're not human characters, they're still humanized characters. They're still personified and given, like, human qualities in some way. That's what makes them furries. That's what makes them characters. And this is because the entire world that these characters exist in, like, It is filled with them and nothing else, so it's basically okay. Just like in Animal Olympics, just like in Zootopia, just like in Sly Cooper. Yes, they are pushing for those two characters to be together. I know this, okay? It's not the fan fiction talking. Oh, also, mentioned this show earlier in the video. Not sure if you heard about it. Oh, Beastars? Yeah, the whole central point of the show is the dichotomy between the predator and the prey species, and how one awkward, tall, lanky wolf who doesn't want to be perceived as a bad guy ends up falling for the cutesy little rabbit who has to fend for herself and not be the little defenseless bunny girl that she appears to be. Because, you know, sexism, but also racism. It's a little bit of both in anthropomorphic form, and that's what makes it so cool to watch. I'm also going to throw this out there. Juno. I do not understand why Juno and Lugosi have to be together. Why do you ship them? Why? Do you not understand the point of the show? Do you not understand that the show's point is to put the wolf and the rabbit together in harmony, despite societal pressures? I don't care that the cutesy wolf girl is obsessed over the handsome wolf boy. They do not belong together because that's not the point of the show. Different opinions. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying my opinion is probably better. Feral on feral. This is where they're not walking on two legs, they're basically walking on four legs and look the most animal-like without being actual animals and still having some human features. And why not? Let's throw in Shrek one more time. The donkey, the dragon, unlikely. Started off as a joke, just for the donkey not to die. But like, that's what happens when you flirt. That's why I don't flirt. Because I don't tussle with danger. I know that if I flirt, I'm gonna get eaten alive. No wait, if I do flirt, I will not get eaten alive. I got that backwards. What was I talking about? Oh, right, the donkey impregnates the dragon. And that's why this is not weird. There's also this theoretical part right here. I have not actually seen this in media that I can remember or research, but like, there is the possibility of an anthropomorphic creature with a feral creature. It's when an anthropomorphic two-legger meets up with an anthropomorphic four-legger, and they decide to test the waters. I'm sure if your average moviegoer watches this, if your average cartoon fan finds this on their television or their computer screen, they might be a little bit skeeved about it. It's just, you know, the goofy Pluto principle. Which means basically, even if it's dog and dog, or cat and cat, they're gonna find it weird because it's leading very, very closely into this. I'm not gonna say it on camera. I'm not gonna say it in the audio. I'm just gonna flash the word on screen. I just don't want this video getting age restricted is all. I fear that if I say this word out loud, it might get age restricted, even though I flashed it with like 4 or 5 times so far on screen. Will I get away with it that way? I do not know. But yeah, basically this is going into that squick, that little gross, ew, icky territory. Because it's almost like a slippery slope leading on to human and feral. And weirdly enough, this one does actually exist in media. But a majority of people, if they take it like straight, if they take it seriously, it will completely turn them off. Because it's just way too close to the actual real thing. To the unfortunate reality. You know, it has to be played for laughs. Even though if it is played for laughs, even so, seems a little bit weird. Seems a little bit gross to people. But that is part of the joke. I'm sure if it's a mythical creature, it might be different. I think this is where my human X dragon scene kind of got to people over at this publication site. It only has popped up a couple of times though, but it has appeared in some surprisingly well-known media. You have Chibiusa and Pegasus, weird combination there, because not only is it a human and a non-human, but it's a human child look-alike with a non-human. I'm pretty sure that's not okay. Don't quote me, I'm not a Sailor Moon fan. I'm sure a Sailor Moon fan can explain that to you. You know, why is there Chibiusa and Pegasus? There's the squirrels and Sword in the Stone, the Disney version. You know, technically, the human turns into a squirrel shapeshift. There's the lady squirrel that goes on, and then, like, they tussle around, they have their fun, and then the wizard turns the human boy back into the human boy. The lady squirrel is devastated. She goes home crying. The implication there is that it seemed fun, but it will never work. You know, it was played for fun. It was a little bit of a goof, but you can't push it. You just don't go there. Last thing is Ash and Latias. Latias is a Pokemon, one of the legendaries, I think. Like, weirdly enough, she just appears as a human. And then Ash and her, like, they have a thing in this little movie.
Was that Bianca or Latias?
I don't know. But I am extremely jealous.
Suffice to say, I don't know if I would call back. So what's the general consensus? What's the thing that's pulling this all together? Basically, the closer that the two species are to their own species, or the same species, the more okay it looks. And I don't mean that by literally being the same species. I mean lion and tiger versus like lion and dolphin. But there's one thing I haven't mentioned so far, and some of you are probably yelling it from the rooftops. It is the Jack Harkness test. Jack Harkness from the Doctor Who series, famously kind of
bisexual
across the galaxy, across the many planes of times and space. And he only had 2 different guidelines, verbally communicative and old enough to consent. And the furries love this very much. Obviously so. But it's not just furries that are into this, you know? It may seem weird or exotic or taboo, but like, what's the harm? What's so crazy about interspecies? It seems pretty normal, honestly. The more I talk about it, the more you watch it, the more you're like, you know what? It's not that weird. It's not weird to BoJack. It's not weird to Twilight. And it's not weird to Beastars. So why is it weird to us? That's all I'm saying. That's my conclusion. It's not that weird. I think this has been a good discussion otherwise, so thanks for watching this video all the way through. And if I've said something that has changed your mind, something that has challenged you a little bit, or something that you still disagree with, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below.
Also, in the description below, you will see my social media links. That will be my Telegram, my Twitter, and my Instagram. You will also find my TikTok handle down there. It's the same as my Instagram, just in case you want to watch a couple of short, silly little videos from me. You will also see my Discord screen name and a link to my Discord server. This is for all people to join that like furry content. You can talk to other fans of this channel. You can talk about your favorite movies or music or cartoons. You can share memes. You can do anything you want. You will also see a link to my Patreon. For at least $1 every month, just $1, you will have access to early viewings of my videos. That will be either the day or the night before. That's all my reviews, my vlogs, any kind of video that you see on my channel. There's also the option on Patreon to sponsor a video every month. If you are an artist or a small business, you can use my videos to advertise anything you want, any projects that you're working on, any causes that you need people to see. Again, that's all in the description below, my social media, my Discord server, and my Patreon. You can give a thumbs up if you like the video, a thumbs down if you dislike the video, I won't be offended. And you can also hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon if you want to watch more videos from my channel. So you might want to watch a couple more videos before committing to that.
Once again, this has been Lightning Runner as Burger the Bull. I have some exciting news coming up. The whole social media experiment thing that I mentioned previously on like a couple videos ago. Yeah, that's not happening. But like, there is something big coming up. I have a whole bunch of vlog videos that I have planned for this summer. Starting June, I will be doing vlog vacation summer. Title work in progress. But basically, all of the footage I gathered from 2 years ago, back in 2019, to about now, all of that is going to be in one big series. I'm going to slow down on the reviews. I'm going to try something a little bit different. Not completely different. I've done vlog videos before, obviously. But I'm going to have a whole slew of them in a row. I'm going to try some new stuff with them. I'm gonna see if I can get them to be bigger video lengths, make it more documentary style. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and check that out. Stay tuned. This has been Lightning Runner as Burger the Bull. Once again, stay safe, wear a mask, good luck out there. And don't forget to kiss your dog. Oh, bye-bye.
Ah, there's nothing like a good leg of lamb.